Beta.
Right, hello everyone. Welcome back to our exciting episode of Opening Beta. This is potentially a new series by Jack and Jamie where we pitch each other stupid ideas. And today we are pitching to each other MMOs. Now, MMO, Jamie, I'm not sure if you know, it stands for Massively Multiplayer Online Game. So
Really?
so
Where's
we're
the
gonna
G?
yeah, exactly. We're gonna think of franchises that already exist and come up with MMOs that should exist within those franchises. I think the only rule is that they can't already have an MMO. Other than that, all good. Fair game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I mean that would be very boring.
Yeah. Mine is World of Warcraft. You're aware of the Greatest Showman, aren't you?
I'm aware of the Greatest Showman.
Well, this is the Greatest MMO, and it's by Jack. Next slide. Right, what's the coolest thing in the world, Jamie? I've got a question for you. It's an interactive PowerPoint.
I'm gonna say absolute zero.
Absolute zero.
Yeah.
It's a good guess, actually. It's a very good guess. That's really bringing out the chemist in you. But no, the coolest thing in the world is robots. Yeah, you get
I
it.
so I so know what this is gonna be.
What game has
I've got an
robots,
idea.
Jamie? Robots like these?
Yay!
Very
There it
cool,
is. There
very
it
cool
is.
robots. That's right. It's Horizon Zero Dawn. Or Horizon, I believe, is the name of the franchise, because the new one's called Horizon Forbidden West.
There we go.
So we'll go for Horizon. Horizon Zero Dawn. I've been replaying it recently and realised that it'd be great for an MMO, and hence this entire series was conceived. That's how good the idea is. Every MMO needs the following. You've got to have good character customization. We all know that. It's the very first thing you do. It hooks you in. You've got to have a good world to explore with a good story, a good lore, a good setting. So it's got to have lots of different weapons and loot. Classes, but I don't really know if you can have many classes based on Horizon Zero Dawn. So I'm thinking tribes specifically, because there are different tribes. So there's that. Heck ton of quests, mainly fetch quests. Sick mounts, because
Yeah, that is
I think
true.
pets in general, but particularly mounts, are always very fun in an MMO. Especially you can brag to other people with your cool animals you're riding on. Raids and events are plenty, and of course massive robots.
So what actually does like lends the Horizon Zero Dawn, or sorry, the Horizon franchise to big old raids?
Well, there's a lot of big robots in Horizon Zero Dawn that you fight, and usually you do it on your own. But I'm thinking in an MMO setting, you can have bigger robots and more people fighting the big robots. And it'll tie in well with the lore. It all works. Are you
Sounds
following
pretty
me,
sick.
Jamie?
I'm following.
Are you following? Right, let's start with character customization, Jamie. Look at these. Look at the people. You've got.
Actually, that's a pretty good slide, I have to
You've
say.
got.
That's more varied than I expected.
It's a good slide. So you know the general setting. It's the future, but kind of post-apocalyptic. You've got a good mix of the tribal primal sort of fashion, the setting, but also the robotic nature of it. You've got the metal. You've got all the other stuff, and
So, I've never played this game. I
well,
love the guy with the diamond head.
guy, this guy specifically, he's pretty cool. So you know, and it's also a very diverse cast in terms of ethnicity, in terms of looks. You can do a lot with it. Starting gear, face paints, all that jazz.
They all seem to be
Option.
pretty human though. That's the only because you know
They would all be
most
human.
MMOs you get to choose your race. Where are the elves? Where are the dwarves?
They're somewhere else.
Oh, there are dwarves and elves in Horizon, is there?
No, they're in a different franchise. But we've got a ton of humans. There are different tribes though, Jamie, which we'll get to later.
If I want to identify as a dwarf in Horizon Online,
Yeah,
will you allow me to?
you can be a dwarf in the very real world sense of it.
Okay.
Setting, right? So I feel like you don't know a whole lot about the setting of Horizon Zero Dawn. So you might
No.
be surprised to hear a lot about it, because when I first played it and I was uncovering the story, I was quite surprised myself. But first of all, there's a lot of cool big cities, like this place, Meridian. You like it? Be fun to visit there. There could be many others. It doesn't have to be Meridian. There could be a whole ton of new settings that we haven't seen yet in the world, all over the world. And there's a little inside look. Imagine walking around there, it's bustling. There's characters from all over the world. You're trading, you're talking to people, you're doing all sorts. You can picture
Pretty
it,
sick.
Jamie.
What
You can
are
picture it.
biomes like? What are the biomes like in
Well,
Horizon?
so far we've mainly seen this sort of a little bit of icy mounting sort of Skyrimness, but mainly just grasslands and wilderness. However, there's also the frozen wastes, I think it's called, DLC, which introduce more snowy biomes, and the sequel looks like it's going to go more tropical with Forbidden West. So
Okay.
we've seen a bit more, and we can introduce even more of that in future with our MMO.
So you're saying that you're basically copying the Elder Scrolls like for like with this then?
Yeah. Elder Scrolls with giant robot creatures is what I'm going for here. But the coolest part about the setting is it is set in a post-apocalyptic world. It's set in the 31st century, after basically these security robots went crazy and started killing everyone. And then there's crazy law. There's this company called like Taro Automotive or something. The robots went crazy. There's AI, and it like rebooted the robots so the robots could like consume biomass and just try and keep the planet alive. The people just kind of became tribal because of all this stuff. And you can walk around and still explore all the old cities, and there's like billboards and stadiums and stuff. You can add way more. You could go to like post-apocalyptic London, and there could be Tower Bridge with robots on it in the future.
That
Why
is
not?
well, that is a shout, but I have to ask then: how do the characters transport themselves from America over to London?
Well, maybe it's not set in America. Maybe they're just in London. Maybe the whole game is set in London. So the main character has something called a focus, which is like a little earpiece that it just gives her lots of information and stuff. You can use the focus, as you can see here, to look at what the world used to look like. It gives you information about it. I'm unsure if every single player would have a focus or not, because I don't know if they would all get their hands on one, but maybe they do.
In this MMO, so some
Yeah.
MMOs you're just like a bloke,
Yeah,
but in others you're
the chosen
the savior. You're the savior of the universe, and everyone's the savior of the universe by
Yeah.
virtue of that. Would you be the chosen one in this game?
See, I prefer the idea of not being the chosen one, of just being
Yeah.
a random tribesman, hunter, whatever, going about, maybe joining with other people to save the world in some way. Which is why I'm not sure about the idea of everyone having a focus. But I don't think you need one. You just walk around. I don't know. Stuff
I suppose you
happens.
could have a character an NPC who does have that,
You could do like a guide.
who works with you. Yeah.
You could just have Aloy. Aloy is a great character. She's the woman. And that's the setting, Jamie. It's the perfect setting for an MMO because it can just be anywhere in the world in the 31st century.
What would be the story like? What would be the story of the MMO? Like,
Now, Jamie, I haven't planned a full story.
no. But like, would it be
However,
like a major thing or like a minor little?
I think it would be relatively major. There's a lot you could do here. It could tie into the old world, as they call it, or it could just be, I don't know. Oh, there's a giant robot we need to kill.
So would the expansions kind of come towards as like one giant story, or would an expansion go off in a different direction?
I like the idea of an expansion going off in a different direction.
Okay.
So you got the base story itself. I mean, that's kind of what happens in the original game. You've got the main game and the story, and then the DLC that kind of just adds another bit to the story that isn't entirely relevant, but it just adds a little experience. I think that's a cool direction. Oh, Jamie, right? Armor. There's some really great and creative armor and outfits in the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's all kind of tribal and primal theme, but you've got a lot of like metal and old gadgets and devices and stuff incorporated in there, and also weapons and tools, of course. So you mainly have your bow, your standard sort of hunting
Mhm.
equipment. You have a trip caster, so you can shoot down 2 wires, and then the robots trip over them and get all electrocuted, and you smash them while they're down. You've got some cool spears and stuff. You've got a rope caster, so you can tie robots to things. Think about all the cool weapons you can unlock as you go on your journey.
Well, you say all the cool weapons,
Yeah,
but all I'm looking at here is you sign up for this MMO, you're
yeah,
looking forward to being who you want to be,
yeah.
and then they say, oh, classes, archer. What other weapons, what other roles exist in this world that you can be?
I'll get to that, Jamie. I'll
Okay,
get to that
okay.
in my tribe section.
It's very ranged at the moment. A little
Well,
bit too ranged.
at the moment, Horizon's a very ranged game. But you have your spears and your lances, some close combat weapons. We can introduce some warhammers, those sorts of things as well.
Okay.
We can introduce that. We can bring that in. Tribes. This is what you're asking about, Jamie.
I want to know this.
We don't so much have classes, but there are 3 tribes in Horizon Zero Dawn. There's the Nora. They're kind of the standard. They have hunters called Braves who go out and shoot robots and scavenge for parts and stuff. They're just kind of doing bits, having fun.
Hmm.
You have the Karja. They
Oh,
worship
look at these
the
guys.
sun, and they're kind of the city building, big military force tribe. They're they're those sorts of guys. And then you've got the Oseram, and they're kind of like the dwarves of Horizon.
They do look like dwarves.
They make weapons, they drink loads, they get into arguments with each other, and that's their thing.
Hmm.
And there's probably many other tribes over the world. We can introduce more tribes. We can have fun with that, and I think that would be kind of how you pick your class.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe you're kind of a blacksmith Oseram, or you're some sort of Karja officer, or you're like a Nora hunter, or a brave, all that sort of stuff.
Well, I can see there being those are the races, and then there's a pool of weapons that they all get to have. Like, I mean, I can see hammers and spears and
Yeah,
bow, obviously.
yeah.
That's pretty sick.
And then maybe they get different skills based on which tribe you pick.
What skills would they have?
I don't know, like maybe the Nora have better stealth, but then the Oseram have like weapon crafting skills,
Okay.
that sort of thing. You down with it?
Oh, I'm down.
Yeah.
Very down.
Quests. So I don't really know what to put here, so I just put a very blurry screenshot of the quest log and the world map. But there could be a lot of fun quests. I mean, your standard, as I said earlier, your standard fetch quests. You have to go out and hunt a certain amount of machines and then scavenge the parts. You know, you have to look for someone. You have to craft something. You have to tame a creature. Any of that sort of thing.
Would there be
Quests.
dungeons, like multiplayer dungeons?
Yeah, why not? You go into a cave and it's filled with evil machines that you have to kill. There's traps from the old world or something. You go into an old underground bunker and it's very technologically
That
advanced.
sounds really fun, actually.
Yeah, you're loving it. And mounts, Jamie. This is one we've been waiting for. A lot of cool mounts. So I don't really remember the name of them, but there's 3 mounts in the game. One of them's basically a horse. One of them's basically a rhino, and one of them's basically a bull. So we can expand on that.
Oh yeah.
There's one in the game that's basically a massive lion. You could ride him, why not?
Ooh.
You have some flying mounts. You can have all sorts of fun. There's another guy there. He looks kind of like an ostrich.
That looks like a chocobo from Final Fantasy.
It does like a chocobo from Final Fantasy, but it's better, Jamie, because it's a robot.
Would the combat be like MMO style, or would you try to go for more of a action? Would you try to like mimic the combat from the game that it's
See, it's a tough one because I very much enjoy the combat of the game, but I'm not sure how well it would translate. But it would be cool because it makes it very easy to both ride on a creature and shoot things with bows and arrows. And also there's some fun like bush stealth and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer that.
I wish there was a game like that. I wish there was a. Yeah, I feel like most games that do that are just multiplayer modes to the existing game rather than their own dedicated thing.
Yeah,
Be pretty cool. Be
I
pretty
feel
cool
like
to
too
see
many
someone try it.
MMOs fall into the realm of just pressing a number button over and over again.
Yeah.
Raids and events. You
Ooh.
asked about this earlier. Big old, look at those big old robots.
They are big old actually. Yeah.
Imagine there's a ton of those. You can't kill those on your own, Jamie. You've got to bring some friends and then fight some big old robots. So there's this one robot called a long neck, and what you do with him is you have to climb up his body and like turn him on, and then he like activates the map in the area. There could be some sort of event with that. You've got to turn on all the long necks with your friends and climb up all of them.
I have a question.
Hit me.
This is about the lore,
Yeah.
so don't worry too much. But what are these robots? Did they make themselves, or were these actually created by human beings a long time ago?
So I'm pretty sure all of the robots were created by human beings originally. However, they are now being mass produced by other robots and just fed out into the world.
Because I'm trying to like get my head around why someone would
Purpose of
think
the
it's
robots.
appropriate to make a giant Brachiosaurus type
Well,
disc head.
I think these guys were basically military robots. They would
Sure.
send these out to fight wars and stuff. And I think the big old long neck ones were like Wi-Fi hotspots who would walk around.
Watch out!
I got full bars. I don't fully remember the reason for all the robots.
Okay,
I might
okay.
also be mistaken. Maybe some of them were created afterwards, but yeah, there's a lot of sort of robots creating other robots that happens.
All right, okay,
and it all gets
okay.
a bit muddled. But yeah, most of them I'm pretty sure were just military robots that kind of went a bit haywire.
What's the vanilla base game level cap for the MMO? I mean, for the fantasy MMO. Like what we're looking at here?
100.
100.
It's a nice round number.
Wow. Okay.
Probably much lower because I feel like that'd get quite grindy. And of course, finally, I've said it before, Jamie, but I'll say it again: robots, giant, big old robots. There's no MMO quite like this. Giant robots, and look, giant robots. That's all the robots in the game.
Oh, look at them.
We're going to bring in more. And that's pretty much it, Jamie. Any questions?
Is there going to be a marketplace that players can? Is there going to be an economy that players share amongst each other?
I think there will be. They will trade parts they retrieve from the machines, and various other things they want to trade. Maybe there's cooking, like Breath of the Wild. Why not?
Is there real time, like logging of trees? Like, can you go up to a tree and break it down, or is it just you touch tree and gain wood?
Now that is not something I ever considered, but I'm going to say yes. There's real time logging of
Okay,
trees.
real time logging of trees.
You have to wait real time for a tree to grow.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. So,
Yeah.
if you don't get on within the first week,
Mm.
you're just gonna spawn to a complete barren
A
wasteland.
desolate landscape. You have to wait 27 years for a tree to grow.
That was great while it lasted.
I mean, a great thing of this very screenshot I've used here, you see the giant robot carcass up in the mountains?
That's what gave it away for me. That's why I guessed what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, that
because of
kind of does give it away. It's a very green landscape with snowy mountains and a giant robot in the sky. That's pretty unique to this
What
game.
is it?
But that just adds to the feel you could have playing this game, to the urge to unlock the lore, because in the game you're spending the whole time playing it and you can just see this giant robot on a mountain in the distance and you don't know what it is. I think it's like the robot that destroyed humanity and then eventually just died. Something like that. There could be
my
some cool
favorite
mysteries
thing
like that.
with MMOs is when they have like something in the distance that eventually unlocks in an expansion. That is so cool.
Exactly. You have that right here, waiting for you. And that's my pitch, Jamie. I hope you enjoyed it.
It's a very convincing idea for an MMO.
Do you want a Horizon Zero Dawn MMO immediately?
I think if they can somehow incorporate cat people, maybe lizard men,
Yeah.
I'm in.
maybe lizard robot hybrid men.
If it can, yeah. I mean, technically, the robots are kind of lizard anyway. They're reptile robots, so
A lot of them
I
are.
guess that
Some of
kind
them
of
are just
counts.
kind of mammals.
What technologically advanced nation decided that a gigantic flapping machine was more effective than just like a helicopter or something?
America.
Because I love that. I really hope there must be somewhere like a law entry, like, oh god, somebody's going to ask this. We need to have a law book somewhere. Like, well, the wind was actually used to generate the energy used to fire.
I mean, in all fairness, that seems like something a government would like blow billions of taxpayer dollars on just to say, look at this cool thing we built for the military.
Can you imagine that? Why?
Our military has a 30-foot long robot hawk. Does yours? I will just put this in at the end here. Me and Jamie decided it would be best if we both picked games that the other person knew very little about, uh, so that it's much harder for us to have an actual discussion about it.
Oh, what's the name of the game?
Oh yeah, that was another thing I didn't think of, and I was trying to think of it while I was doing this. It's going to be called Horizon Robot World.
Oh man, that's so cheesy. Robot World.
Horizon Robot World.
Robot World.
Horizon MMO.